Hi everyone, great to see you today with a super special guest, Debbie, GitHub star, just an all-round awesome person. And Debbie, I want to let you introduce yourself because you do so much with Nuxt.js. You've been on my channel before, and everyone always asks for you to come back, so we've got you back. Yeah, tell us a bit about yourself and what you do.
Thanks, Eddie. So yeah, it's great to be here. I'm a little bit ill, as most of you probably saw on Twitter, so excuse my voice. But yeah, I am Debbie, Head of Learning and Developer Advocate at Nuxt, GitHub Star, and Microsoft MVP, and Google Developer Expert, and Cloudinary Media Developer Expert. And yeah, I'm here to
Wow.
talk to you all about whatever you want to know.
Well, I really want to dig into kind of how and why you got to where you are. Maybe some of the lessons learned that you can share with people. So if other people want to do similar things, I think geeking out with our community at the MLH Hackathon this week, I noticed a lot of people want to do a lot of DevRel stuff, develop advocacy. I think it'd be great to talk about that. I know last time you were on, we were coding, we were doing Nuxt.js, and you were teasing me and tricking me and so forth, and everyone enjoyed that. But I think yeah, this time I really like to dig into how you got to where you were, what advice you'd give yourself, and see what questions people have, and we can answer some of those. I think that'd be great because this is the first of a series that I'm doing with GitHub staff people. So thank you so much for coming on first, and thank you so much that for doing it and you're not feeling very well. So thank you so much.
Yeah, I don't know where you want me to start.
I
Like,
think
you want me to start at the very beginning, or
yeah, I think start at the beginning of your, I guess, tech journey or just before, and then keep it
okay.
high level, and we'll see what questions we come in, and we can dig deeper into those areas.
So I started programming in 1997. I was one of the first people in Ireland to do the course on programming. So we learned to build websites, and we didn't even have the internet installed. So that was kind of interesting. And after that, I did work for the first year in a kind of a web design, graphic design type of job. And it was working with Dreamweaver, and it was computer manuals and doing all that kind of stuff. It was really boring. And after a year, I got bored because, the web in 97 was pretty boring. So I left web development to basically go to Mallorca to work on a stage as an entertainer because that was more fun. And I spent many years basically traveling the world and just having fun and not actually worrying about my career. So then you get a bit older now, and you kind of say, right, I've got to do something better, something more long term. So I went back into kind of like studying, but at the time it was Flash. So I learned Flash, and I started building Flash websites. Learned WordPress, started building WordPress websites. I found it very hard to get a proper job. Um, so it was like I was always going in and out of jobs. So I was like, working in the winter in web design. In the summer, I was back in the hotels, and living on a small island. It's kind of like there's not a lot of opportunities in tech. So it was very, very hard. So I worked for a couple of companies, and they kept going bust. It was like every time I had a job, after about a year, the company would run out of money and I'd be left jobless again. So I was like, okay, started teaching English, and I went into like teaching English because that was like money coming in, and you need money. So I did that for about 10 years while I was doing web design. And then you kind of get to a stage where you're like, should I just give up because I'm not able to get a proper job? And working for myself, just doing WordPress websites was getting boring as well. And at the time, I kind of looked into trying to getting etc. But I became unemployable because I only had HTML and CSS experience. Now I had very, very, very good CSS experience, and my HTML and my architecture was very good, Sass, etc. But I didn't know any JavaScript. I'd never worked with JavaScript because back in the day, you did all the front end parts, and then the programming was done by a programmer who made things happen, right?
Yeah,
And
how things have changed.
yeah, so yeah, I couldn't get a job because I wasn't skilled enough, which is fair enough, right? So I made a decision after kind of a difficult time in my life where I was like not going through a very good moment, and it was like, right, I feel like I've got nothing. I hated Mallorca, and it's a beautiful island, but I couldn't even see the goodness in Mallorca. I was like, I hate it here. I hate my job. I hate everything. I was earning like really crap money, like terrible money, working long hours to survive, working on Sunday mornings just like to try and bring in extra money. And I was like, I can't just keep doing this, struggling and working 60-hour weeks just to survive, right?
Wow.
So I did a dream builder course, actually, which is a friend of mine. She was studying to be a dream builder, and she says, I want to help you and you need help, and please come on the course. I won't charge you for it. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. So she said to me, like, what is your dream? And I was just like, oh my God, this is the most, stupidest course I've ever been on in my life. And I'm like, look, this is stupid. You can't make my dreams come true. So just stop, right? And she's like, slap in the face, and she's like, no, seriously, if time or money is not in the way, and I think this is the key here, if time or money is not in the way, because we basically build our lives around time and money. So take out the time and money. What is your dream? And she said, think about it and seriously answer it. And I was like, okay, well, it's quite easy, actually. My dream is to be a developer for Google. I said, that's always been my dream, but that's absolutely ridiculous because I'm not good enough. I don't know anything in JavaScript and programming, and I live in Mallorca and it's not going to happen. And I'm married here, so, I'm not going to leave Mallorca, etc. So I was like, okay, this is a great course, but see you later. And she's like, no. She said, this is brilliant. And I was like, how is this brilliant? And she's like, well, you want to work for Google. This is great. Now, what do you need in order to what define Google? Like, what is Google to you? Because, Google is just something, right? Well, what is it exactly? So when you start to kind of build it out as you want to work for an amazing company who is constantly evolving in tech, where you're constantly learning, constantly getting better, where you have a great team of people around you, where a lot of great people who support you. It was nothing about the fancy office with a slide or the free meals or a swimming pool in the office. That was never, ever important to me. So yeah, basically I kind of go.
Ignore me, I pressed the wrong button. Sorry, I pressed the wrong button. Sorry, carry on. I meant to press that one.
So I'll fast forward a little so I don't go too long into it.
No, that's awesome. It's really interesting to hear your struggles and your challenge, because I think a lot of people think, oh, just landed on your lap and it just kind of all worked out the box. And I think people don't see the effort that it takes to get to, where certain people are today. So I think it's great to hear that backstory.
Yeah. So, basically she said, right, what do you need to do to learn JavaScript, right? Because I knew that was my, what I was lacking. So I said, okay, I need to learn JavaScript. There's no school in Mallorca. There's no people I can go to learn. So, what do I do? So basically, I found online OpenClassrooms, which is an online learning platform with a 1-hour mentoring session. So I was like, okay, this works for me, because I'm the kind of person that I can't just read a book and learn something. I need to read a book, do a course, write it out, do another course, and then maybe I've learned it. But I'm not good at just picking up a book and learning. I'm not that kind of person. So I need that extra support. And having a mentor for me was really, really important, because it's someone that can guide you and just kind of tell you that, you're going in the right direction. So I started that. I had a really fantastic mentor. I think I was very, very lucky. I was one of the first English-speaking students on this platform, because it's a French platform. So my mentor was French, and he was basically, it was a PHP developer, actually, but had very good JavaScript skills, and he was, helping me out. And we would have once a week a call, but then we would have a chat system, like a Facebook Messenger chat. And I would constantly be putting in this is not working. I don't understand this. And he would just instead of saving it up for our session, he would just answer me straight away with a link, with a little code sample. I was never stuck. He was constantly just he went above and beyond. Wow. He seriously inspired me to help others, because he gave much more. He didn't just do it to get paid. He was doing it to seriously help me, And he was brilliant, and he even pointed me in the direction of more courses to do. I did the Treehouse tech degree as well, because OpenClassrooms at the time didn't have enough courses for me. I was still struggling. I had to create a game. I don't even play games now. I've got to make a game. I don't know how games work. I'm like, come on, this is hard. And at the time when I first started out, I had an opportunity to work in a company called Trivago, which is a really amazing company, right? And this was all part of the Dream Builder course when, some things just kind of happen. And a friend in the church I was going to got my CV onto the desk of the right person. So now I'd got through there, and it was like, right, you've got this opportunity. And I had to create like a booking engine. And I had 6 weeks to create a booking engine in React. And I was like, I don't even know JavaScript, and I've got to create something in React. Like, how do I start? So, when I jumped into OpenClassrooms, I skipped all the first parts because I knew all that, HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, etc., and jumped straight into JavaScript and into React. And when I handed in the project, it was like I did it, and in 6 weeks I created a booking engine in React. It was really crap, and it was really bad, but I was proud of it. It was like, I built this, So they actually were really, really nice, and they sent me an email saying that like they could really see potential, because I explained, look, this is how the skills I had 6 weeks ago, and this is what I've learned, and this is what I've done to get here. So they basically said, right, take this project and start adding some reactive data, create a Chrome extension, and create a markdown with, everything that, is going on in the project. So I was like, okay, I've got to learn markdown now. I've got to learn how to build a Chrome extension and make everything, props, etc. So I was like, oh my God. So yeah, pretty much. So I handed this in, and they sent me another email back saying I was the most, I can't remember the exact word, but the most eager applicant most enthusiastic applicant they've ever had. So I was like, oh my God, like I'm nearly there, I could get this job. And then basically they gave me another challenge to do.
Wow.
And I was like, yeah, it was like 9 weeks long of just like challenges. And I handed that in, and they basically then told me, no, just like, no.
Wow.
And I was like, just like, no, but like, no. And I was devastated. I was like, oh my God, I'm after doing so much. And and like when I look back, I wasn't good enough. So I can kind of easily say, you know what? They were right not to hire me because I wasn't ready. But it was a very HR style way of saying no, which kills someone, right? It kills your confidence.
Yeah, it really does.
So I was like, I was devastated. And because I had a friend who worked in there, I kind of said to him, look, I just need some advice. I just don't know, what to do. And he spoke to the people who dealt with me or whatever. And Trivago's policy is they're not allowed to give feedback, which is fair enough, right? So they couldn't do it. And he said, basically tell her to just keep building things. Keep building things, and in a year's time, things will be very different. Now, in that moment of time, you think in a year's time, it's like such a long way away. There's like no way, my life is just ending right now, and you want me to do it in a year's time? Are you having a laugh?
It's true. A year is a long time. It really, really is. But it
isn't in the
grand scheme of things.
Yeah, and I'd given up my full-time job as a teacher. I was literally like living off my savings and, putting everything into this. So I was like, I can't afford to be a year. I need to be like, earlier than that. Yeah. But at the time, hang on a second. Sorry.
No worries, you take your time.
I might have to do that quite often.
No problem.
So yeah, at the time, I was doing, like I said, the OpenClassrooms program, and they called me and said that they would love my testimonial. And I was like, great, thanks. You want my testimonial? Trivago just said no, and you want my testimonial. Thanks. I was like, just put another nail in the coffin.
Yeah, it's kind of kicking the teeth. Bittersweet.
It really is. And they said no. They said, Trivago just said no to you, and you're still learning. That's the testimonial I want. You have not given up. You have kept going, and not many people do. And we want to hear about it. So I was like, okay, cool, all right, what do you want me to write? What do you want me to do? And they're like, well, actually, we were hoping to fly you to Paris for the weekend and record a video on you, all
Nice.
expenses paid. And I'm like, okay, I could do that. So yeah, I was flown over to Paris. They made a video which has had over 100,000 visits on YouTube.
Wow.
Um, and is still featured in the main page of Open Classrooms. And it's a video I think I made for myself and not for anyone else. And I watched it myself so many times. And it basically just keeps saying, like, not to give up, and, that this is hard, and why I'm doing it and why I'm not giving up. And what was really interesting on the time was when I went there in the apartment, in the kitchen on the floor, there was this like rug that says, keep like your dreams, don't give up, like all these kind of things. It was like right there in the kitchen. I was like, okay, someone is telling me something. And the people in Open Classrooms were great as well. So they kept saying, like, you can do this, you're going to be amazing. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm really struggling here. I'm building a game at the moment, and it's like really hard. And, they said, look, when you get your job, we're coming back to Mallorca to film you in that job. And I was like, don't be so stupid. I'm never going to get a job. It's never going to happen, Debbie being all like, it's never going to happen. And I think when you're surrounded by people who constantly support you and tell you can do it, it really, really helps. And it's, in a way, it's something my husband didn't understand, right? Because he's like, I'm always telling you can do it. My mother the same. No, I'm like, yeah, but you don't know what it's like to program. So, it's different. Yeah. But when somebody who's been through it can help you and say, like, you can do this, and we've been there, and, we believe in you and you can do it, then you kind of like believe them a little more, no? So yeah, I basically did the Open Classrooms, kept, building things, just kept going. I probably did too much. I studied like 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. It was a little bit ridiculous, but I was just determined. I was like, my life has to change, or I go back to being an English teacher, and that is it for the rest of my life. And I just did not want to go back down that road. So I went for an interview for a job, which looked quite promising. And I was like, okay, and it was me and 3 people in front at a table, kind of like, X Factor judge style.
Kind of like a panel of judges. Okay, wow.
Yeah. And they give me a computer, a laptop, and it's connected to a big screen. And they say, okay, so can you do this coding challenge? And we're going to watch how you do it. And I was like, you're going to what? And I couldn't even move the trackpad. I couldn't do anything. I lost focus. There was a SAS question, a Flexbox question. And I was like, but why are you asking me this? Like, it's just this, like, what you just do that? What do you mean? Then they said, can you go to the whiteboard? Because I couldn't do anything on the computer. So like, can you go to the whiteboard and, iterate through an array? And I was like, I've been a teacher for 10 years, right? Standing up at a whiteboard is nothing to me. And I just went, no.
It is really hard though. It is. I think, and for you to say that, you were a teacher for so long and standing up in front of the whiteboard was hard is actually, really, really inspiring. I think it's really good to hear that it is hard, even though you've done it loads. I mean, I get that sometimes too when, I'm always coding on live streams or pair programming with people on live streams or not on live streams. And then sometimes you're kind of in front of 20 people and they say, can you code this real quick? And I'm just struggling with like the basic JavaScript. Yeah. I'm thinking, oh my word, what's wrong with me? But I think it is normal. I think that's where practice really comes in, which is why I used to love, I don't do them so much anymore, but I used to love doing interviews. So when I used to look for freelance gigs or contracts and so forth, I used to just go to every interview that I could just for practice. And I felt that really, really helped me a lot. But sorry, carry on with your story. I'm looking forward to hearing what happens next.
No. But yeah, completely. Like, I think as well, if you're going into an interview, like, they should nearly say, look, we're going to ask you to teach this function and show how it works. Then you can prepare. But when you're just told there and then on the moment, it's like, oh. So yeah, I walked out of that interview. I was like, Grant, please swallow me up. Obviously, I did not get the job. And I walked out and I kind of went, I'm never, ever going to be in that situation again where someone puts code in front of me that I panic and kind of say, I've never seen this code before, so I don't know what to do. And Treehouse have a great system where they do peer reviews. So when you get like a project, you can take someone else's project and you, the student, are the person who grades it. And you actually go through their code and you help them and you find out what's wrong with their code. So it's like, like pull requests, right? At the end of the day.
Okay.
So you're looking at kind of that code and basically seeing it. And I decided I was going to do like one peer review every single day. So every single day I was going to jump into a code base I did not know. And I did that every
That's
day.
awesome.
I earned my 100 peer review badge. I was the student with the most peer reviews ever.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think it really, really, really helped me because I wasn't scared, even though I didn't know what I was going to see. It was like, well, I've seen 100 of these and they're all different and everyone is different. I think it's really important when you see someone else's code. I haven't seen a single person's code that's perfect. Like there's some really, really good code out there, but everyone has little things and there's no right way of doing it. Everyone does it different and that's okay. And when you see so many different code bases, you kind of go, actually my code is not that bad. Actually I'm doing okay. And I think it really helps you to see other people's code.
I'm going to give your voice a
So
break for a second there and let me
go ahead.
just jump in. I think a really good example or analogy is like take dancing, for example. So I had, many years ago, I had a friend who was a really good, almost like semi-pro dancer. And he would dance with the same partner all the time. And they were excellent. They would win all sorts of competitions with like tens of thousands of prizes in money sort of thing. They were brilliant. And something happened, I don't know the details, if she injured herself or she didn't want to do it anymore, but he changed dance partners and he didn't win anything. It wasn't, and this other dance partner, she was also won lots of things previously with her other dance partner. So she was at an equal level. They were both really good, but he'd only been practicing like the same thing over and over again. And I think we had some questions in the chat about, being a teacher standing up in front of the whiteboard, you should be comfortable with that. I think it's a different situation. I think, like, imagine like driving to the same office. This is for everyone watching. Imagine driving to the same office like every day, the same road, the same traffic lights, the same corners. You might be a good driver and you might be good on that route, but if you put yourself in a different country, then you're driving on the other side, different traffic light systems and so forth. It's going to be harder and more confusing. Whereas that's why if you can just practice different scenarios, like Debbie said with reviewing different people's code, this is why I always recommend to people in our community to review other people's pull requests. And you can approve them. Yes, it won't get that green tick at the bottom, but it will get a green tick in the timeline saying approve, because it will just really help people to understand, for you to understand different projects and different quirks and the way different things are done. I mean, at the moment, I've got hundreds of GitHub notifications I'm going through, but I love it how so many pull requests have already had discussions on it, and 90, if not 100% of all the issues have been ironed out and sorted. So when I get there, either I need to merge it or it's been merged already, and I just love that. So yeah,
It's
awesome.
also real world experience, right? Like if you haven't got a job and you're trying to start out and you can
Yeah,
say, well,
true.
actually on an open source project, I'm after, reviewing someone's work and reviewing pull requests, etc. You can go into a job and say that. Like that's a massive help because that's what you're going to be doing. And that's what we do in Nuxt, right? We review each other's pull requests. And I think some people are like, oh, I don't want someone to see my work, or, oh, I'm afraid that someone's going to comment, or I'm not going to comment on someone else's. And you know what? Actually, that's what you should be doing because that's what it's all about. No one's ever criticizing anyone else. They're just helping make it better.
Absolutely. I want to add one more thing to that as well. One thing that I really love is I know a lot of people who have less experience. I'm not going to use the word junior or senior. I don't like those words. But they say, "Oh, I can't review it because I can't add value. That it's too advanced for me." And actually, I really believe that they can add value because they can look at it from a different perspective. They can say this bit doesn't make sense, or they might raise a question and just say, "But why have you done it this way?" And I love it when people do that because it makes me think, actually, why did I do it that way? I did it that way because I did it that way before, but actually, it's probably not the best way to do it. And I just rethink my code, and that's why I really think everyone should get involved. It's like a two-way street. I think it benefits the author and it benefits the person reviewing, no matter what level both of them are at.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So yeah, um, after about 9 months of studying full time, I eventually did get a job, so I did good, which was pretty cool. And yeah, it's kind of laggy internet, is it?
Yeah, the internet's gone a bit laggy for a second. I'm just looking at my screen to see if I can adjust anything. Let me just send you back a bit of a lower quality signal. Hopefully, it then makes it a bit easier on the connection.
Okay.
Hopefully that's
Yeah.
better.
No idea. Could be my end. So yeah, basically, I walked into a job interview and I was like, ready, prepared at all these questions. I was like, okay, promises, hit me with it. I am ready. And they asked me hardly any questions, and I was like, come on, I'm ready for the whiteboard interview. I'm ready for the everything. I'd prepared for everything, and I got like almost nothing. I was like, what? Seriously? And they said, no, you you did this coding challenge in like record time, and your code was like really, really impressive, and really clean and clear and everything. And it's like, we were impressed by it. And then I had like my GitHub repo of all the projects I've been doing from OpenClassrooms, from Treehouse. So I had a list of work that I've been doing. I had a portfolio without having a website, without having a really good CV. I had this portfolio of all these projects done in React, done in AngularJS, done in Node. So I was able to show that what I was capable of. And they might not have been perfect, but I could actually talk about them, and that's how I got the job, basically, which is, I think, and it's one thing I say to people, like, it's really important when you're using GitHub, don't put everything in private, right? And some people are like, oh, I don't want people to see it because it's a work in progress or it's not very good. Like, don't worry about it. Prospective employers are going to look at what you're doing, and it doesn't matter if it's not great or it's not finished. Like, get it out there, get it public, and have like employers be able to look through and see what you're doing. I think that's it's really important. Really helped me as well get where I am today.
I love that. I always say the same, so I'm just going to re-emphasize that again for everyone watching. Put all your work open source. It doesn't matter kind of if it's finished or not, and a real project is never finished. I think we do kind of give up on projects and move on to the next ones, which is fine, but just put them all out. I know that when I interview people, I look at their code now, and I also look at their code a few months ago, and I just want to see there's an improvement. For me, their code today is not so important, because if they're still learning, then I know in a week or in 3 months it's going to be even better. So I just want to see that difference. So yeah, absolutely agree with Debbie that just keep putting everything open source and get involved in the conversation on GitHub on open source. GitHub discussions, reviewing pull requests, issues. Yeah, no, I love that.
As you brought up open source, did I tell you how I got into open source?
I don't think so.
It's a really cool story, right? So I was in the first job I was in. I was really lucky to be in a really good company that I was moved to the architectural department, and they do a lot of like, Microsoft exams, Google exams, constantly like pushing you, like they push me to be Microsoft certified. So, really
Oh, we've got a bit of lag again, I
for
think.
the truck company, which is a massive. Shall I stop and reconnect? Would that help?
Yeah, maybe try that and see. I can chat to everyone while you're reconnecting. The Debbie's story is just, it's so inspiring, and I think it's important for people to realize that when you see people at the top, if that's what you want to call it, they didn't just get there overnight. They have taken years and years to get there. They've put in the effort. Remember, your career is a marathon, not a sprint. And I think if you look at it in the micro, and you look after it, if every day you try and do something, like learn something new every day, just 15 minutes, 30 minutes, then in the macro, things will really improve. Debbie's back.
Okay, let's see if this helps. I've changed Wi-Fi connections.
Okay,
Who knows?
awesome.
It could be worse, it could be better.
Awesome. So if you could start the open source story again.
Yeah, so I'm working in this company and we have to build a framework. And obviously at the time, like Vue wasn't good enough, React wasn't good enough, Angular wasn't good enough. Some managers just, I don't know, don't trust things. So like, we want you to build one. So we started building a framework. Now, what do you need when you're building a framework? And at the time, like the company's code was, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but it was a bit of a mess. And they were using Gulp, for example. So it's really like time to update. So it's like, look, we need to use Webpack to basically build this, right? And nobody in the company had Webpack experience. So I was like, okay, I'm going to start, learning Webpack. And that's how I started Webpack, was just like, we need to build using Webpack, so we need to understand it. And there was a workshop in Barcelona by Sean Larkin from Webpack. And I said, look, I want to go to this workshop because I think that's really going to help us. And they agreed, and they were like, yes, I think you should go. So off you go. So I go off to the Webpack workshop to learn Webpack, and I'm sitting there, and Sean Larkin is late, which is kind of normal for Sean. If anyone knows Sean, Sean is a great person in the Webpack community. He's brilliant. But he arrived, some people, they're coming from America, you got jet lag, you got a bit of everything. So it can be normal. And he turns up late, and he's hungry because he missed breakfast, the whole breakfast that was put out for everyone. So he starts saying, oh my God, I'm so hungry. And he starts eating the sweets. And he's like, yo, these sweets are so nice. I'm like so hungry. And I just sat there going, I have a cereal bar in my bag and he is hungry. I should give it to him, And then the other voice in your head says, Debbie, that's the most stupidest thing you could ever do in your life. You're going to walk up in front of everyone and you're going to give him a cereal bar and everyone's going to laugh at you and you will never live it down. Sit in your place and do not move. So I didn't move. And, a couple of minutes later, I'm like, I really have this cereal bar and he needs to eat. And this is like, I can do this. I'm just going to do it. So I just stood up and I come up to him and here's a cereal bar. It'll help you not be so hungry. And then I kind of went, oh my God, Debbie, that was so stupid. Why did you do that? And I sat back in my chair going, oh my God, don't look at me, everyone, please. So he was obviously very grateful. And at the end, I got a photo at the end of the workshop, as you normally would. And then the conference was the next day. And there was a meetup organized by one of the companies, local companies. And they advertised it in the conference. So I was like, okay, I'll go to this meetup. So I go to this meetup, amazing, the best meetup of my life. 100 people turned up to this meetup. It was crazy. And I'm on my own, I don't know anyone. And I'm sitting there in this meetup, surrounded by 100 people. And in walks Sean Larkin. And he looks over to me and he waves and he goes, hey. And I was like, oh my God, he remembered me. So that gave me the confidence to then, after the meetup, go up to him and say, hey, I really enjoyed your talk and blah, blah, blah. So just that little bit of confidence kind of just, I started talking to him and actually was in that meetup when I first learned Vue. It was Eduardo from the Vue core team, known as Positive on Twitter. And he was showing the Vue CLI and how Vue works. And I even asked a question. I was like, how does the styles work? And it was a 4-hour meetup. It was incredible. Like I can't even explain how impressive this was. But yeah, after this, I'm now drinking beers with Sean Larkin and Eduardo from the Vue core team, like I know them all my life. And because people are just speakers are just amazing people, right? And we're just so open to people talking to us. So I'm chatting with them. And then the next day, I just decided, you know what, I'm just going to go for it. And this might sound weird, but, I was like, Sean, what are you doing for lunch? Could we have lunch together? And he's like, yeah, sure. He says, I'm actually meeting the rest of the Webpack team. Come and join us.
That's awesome.
So now I'm sitting there having lunch with the Webpack team. Like, come on.
That's so cool. Love that.
So I said to him, I really want to get into open source and I really want to help out on open source and stuff. But I don't know what to do. I was like, where do you start? What do I do? And I really love Webpack. I literally read the documentation through and through. I really loved the workshop. I really loved Webpack. And they were like, well, we seriously always need help in the documentation team. He says, actually, I'll add you to the Slack channel right now. And there I was, bang on the Slack channel documentation of Webpack just by giving a cereal bar to Sean in a workshop.
But it's about adding value, I think. You added value to his life and to what he gave him energy to, give more back to the workshop and the community. So I think, I think that's such a great story. And I think it's important for people to realize that it is about adding value. I'm trying to think of an example. Like, for example, a place I worked, there was someone who was struggling with their role, and they didn't enjoy coding, and they were kind of forced into this role for whatever reason. And it turned out they love writing what do you call it, use cases, and our team didn't enjoy doing them. So it was great that the team loved having them do this, because they added so much value in an area they didn't want to do. So just anything to add value. And we had for the MRH hackathon that's going on at the moment this week, we had a guild call, so like effectively a big team call with about 30 or 40 people on the call. And when someone was suggesting, we were taking it in turns to nominate the next person, so we would talk and then nominate the next person rather than having like a moderator or chairperson do it. And some people said, oh, looking on the grid of people, where's my friend to nominate them? And that's when I jumped in and said, don't nominate your friend, because, nominate someone you don't know, or someone you've seen on their name on Twitter, because then they're more likely to remember you, and they're more likely to kind of, if they see your name again or see you at an event or whatever it is, they're more likely to think, wave to you across the room. And that's how just things and networking just grow. So I love that story, David. That is just so awesome. All from a cereal bar.
All from a cereal bar. And then the funny thing is, right, I'm in this Slack channel, but I still don't know what to do, right? I still don't know how to contribute. I still don't know where to start. And it was like literally that same week, Trivago put out a contest, contribute to open source, to win a 5-day course in Trivago in Germany with Kyle Simpson, known as Getify on Twitter, the god of JavaScript. And I'm like, oh my God, could you imagine winning that? So now I want to contribute to open source. Now there's a competition that's going to even like incite me more to do it. So I was like, this is perfect, right? So I just started going through the documentation, and I found something, and it was about the ordering of Sass, the Sass loader. And it wasn't kind of like very helpful. And I literally just like changed a line of code to be a bit more understandable. That's all I did. And I sent that in. But what I did do is I put it in the Slack channel, and I kind of went, guys, can you like read over this and see if it's okay and that I haven't broken Webpack? Because I was like afraid I was going to break Webpack. I was going to break everyone's website by just contributing, right? And they looked over it and they merged it like pretty much straight away. And I ended up winning the place and going to Trivago and spending a week and learning JavaScript, thanks to my contribution to open source. And they were like, they said to me, we were really amazed at how quickly yours got merged. I was like, yeah, I won't tell you how that happened. So obviously after that, now I'm kind of going, oh my God, thanks to open source, I have just been sent to Germany for 5 days learning JavaScript. Like, I've just got this from open source. So it made me now want to do more for open source, because I've just received so much. So I started like doing a little bit of more contributions, and then I looked at the issues, and there was an issue that said a page on why Webpack. And I was like, we really should have a page that explains why Webpack, what is Webpack, and why you should use it. And I went, you know what? I would like to take that one. So luckily, Sean's workshop is also on Frontend Masters, and I had a license to Frontend Masters. So I watched his workshop 15 times to like because I needed to write it out and like properly understand it. If I'm going to explain to the world what Webpack is and why you should use it, I need to understand it. So I spent a lot of time and I wrote this page, and this was like the biggest contribution I ever made. And it was like so many, like it's about 100 back and forths, and can you change this? And I think this is really important, because at that point I could have said, do you know what? I'm doing this for free and I'm just getting someone, can you change this? Can you change this? I give up. I'm not going to bother anymore. But it's not. It's someone help at making it better, using the correct wording, like not using the word easy. They're like, can you change that word to use this? So it's very helpful because they made it better. And luckily I didn't take it as like, someone attacking my work, as more of a kind of like, wow, these are like making this good. So when that got merged and Sean said it was the most read page, it was like, wow, like my pages really brought value to people. And then Webpack sent me money to say thank you for my work. And I was like, oh my God, like I love open source. This is incredible.
That is so awesome. I love that story. We're going to have to clip that and snip it and put it on socials. I mean, it's just it's such an inspiring story. I mean, I love open source massively, and it's just so great to hear other people love it too, and other people, get involved in it as well. I think it's just such a good story. I love that.
Yeah, I think the more you do, the more you end up getting back, and the more you end up wanting to do.
Yeah.
Like the same with Nuxt. I mean, I was getting people from the core team in Nuxt were answering my questions and helping me, and like looking at my code base and fixing things for me. And I was nobody. I wasn't even a speaker at the stage. I was just a nobody. And they're helping me. They're giving me their free time. And remember, these people work for free. They're not getting paid to answer my questions. And I'm like, what can I do in return? Well, I can help with the documentation. I'm good at documentation. Now I've done it with Webpack. Let's do it with Nuxt. And I started fixing things in the documentation with Nuxt and contributing and just doing as much as I can, because I think as well, the more you're doing, the more you're seeing doing, the more people will help you in the
Yes.
tech industry
Oh
in
my God,
general.
yes.
It's incredible.
Yes. I 100% agree. I mean, quite a few people message me sometimes and say, "Hey, Eddie, you help that person more than me, or you merge in their PR before mine, or something like this." And I think it's because I know that they help 10 other people or 5 other people. Okay, it doesn't have to be a big number, but I know they help other people. Whereas some people just come and just drain on the system, and they just want to help themselves. So that's why I think I saw it in the chat a moment ago. Help other people just comes back tenfold. It might not be today, it might be tomorrow, but it will definitely be in the near future. And
Yeah.
I love to help people that help other people, because that just helps me scale more as well. There's only one of me. So yeah, I really love that. Great. I've got so many clips for socials that we're gonna have to snip out and use.
And it was one of the things I learned on Treehouse. And the Treehouse tech degree, I could have done it in a shortest amount of time, and that would have been cheaper, of course, but I took quite a long time, which is fine. But what it gives you is the Slack channel. So we were using a Slack channel, and we were there's a project channel, right? So you're on project 6, for example, and you've got to build this and you're having problems. So I would read that channel every morning. I would right, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to help people first. Do people need help first? And then I'm going to work on my own project. And I'd look in the chat, and someone would be struggling with something, and I'd just kind of go back on the previous channels and say, actually, did you check out this link? Or why don't you do this? Or have you thought about this? And at this stage, I'm not even working, right? I'm not even a developer properly. And now I'm helping people with JavaScript. And then when it kind of gave me the I've actually helped some people today, so I don't feel guilty about putting my question in on Slack and asking for someone's time. And people would come on with me, and we'd have hour conversations, and they were really, really, really helpful. I had so much help from other people, but I also gave so much help. And it's really, 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 really key. And I try to explain it to anyone else who's doing, say, the Treehouse program or similar. Use that to your advantage. Don't make it all about you and your learning. You're not the only one in this community. Everyone else is there. And if everyone just helps everyone else, we'll all move faster, and we'll all move in the same direction and quicker and better. And it's just really, really, really key. So if you don't have a Slack channel, it could be GitHub issues, could be whatever. But if everyone just helps one person, just help one person every day. If everyone just did that, we would help so many people.
And that's what I've really seen this week with our Eddie Hub hackathon guild. They've really been helping each other, and we've gone kind of to the top of the leaderboard as our guild. And it's because everyone says, "Oh, thank you, Eddie," and it's I'm not doing anything. I'm not participating. It's all of you helping each other. I just literally filled in the form to create the guild, and I'm just occasionally in the chat just saying hey and doing some social posts. Everyone else is doing the work, and I just when I wake up and I just see loads of notifications of people helping each other. I really, really like that, and it's just
very cool.
It is very good, and it's going to help everyone with their career going forward, because there's no company project or client project where it's just one person on the team. No. It's usually multiple people. And even if it is a small team, you've got to do demos. You've got to, explain to people what they want built, and you've got to demo it to them and so forth. And so, yeah, absolutely. That's what I've started saying this week. I think it's more about collaboration first and then code second. I think people think it's code first all the time.
No, I mean, the last thing you should do is code. First you've got to actually just sit down and think it out, and then kind of plan it out. And and I've worked in a couple of companies, and it is hard. I had some bad experiences in companies as well, where people, don't want to work together and it's all about them. And there are some people out there who don't really want to be the kind of like, I built this is mine. And as well, which is really annoying, was the companies as well. Like, we built something and it's like, can we open source it? And it was like, why on earth would we share our work with the world? Like, we just spent money paying you to build it. Why would you give it to someone for free? And I'm like, you're using Webpack for free. You're using, like, and, companies don't seem to like understand as well that, actually you're getting all this for free. So if you give this for free, you know what? Someone might not even use it. They might not even want it. It might not even be good for them. But like, it's just so important to just open source things and have other people like share, and just sharing things. Basically, I think it's just seriously key. But yeah, I did have a few bad experiences with people that don't want to share, and unfortunately, there are still companies out there, and you might land yourself in one of them that you're going to work on something, and everything's private, and like we weren't allowed to even write blog posts about what we did, and it was like, come on.
Wow, I've worked at some of those places as well, and you can see those places falling behind because people don't want to work at those places. Some of my friends have said, "Oh, Eddie, I'd love to come on your YouTube channel, but we need to approve the script before, with my company." I'm like, we're not going to talk about them. We're going to talk about you and your journey and what tech you're using, and maybe share something you've learned recently. Yeah, but they got to approve like word for word. I'm like, yeah, I don't want you on my channel, because that's just not what open source is about. It's about being transparent and open and inclusive. And so, I always recommend people to try and go work for those companies. And a great way to find out about those companies is look at their open source projects and look at the people that work for them already. Are they writing blog posts? Are they on Twitter sharing not necessarily things about their day at the office, but are they allowed to share things that they're learning, like write a blog post, a technical one or something like that? We actually have a question which I think we've kind of answered, but I'd like to go over it again. I'm going to pronounce the name wrong, but Mehil, I'll bring it up on the screen. But it's a question about how to get started. I get asked this a lot. I know you got started in open source with a cereal bar. For those of you who don't know what that's about, you have to go back and rewatch it later. And I always recommend people to just get involved in the conversation, because from a cereal bar, from a Discord chat, from a tweet, you'll discover projects. But what other advice and tips would you give on that?
I think it's about finding something that you're passionate about. So I was very passionate about Webpack. So for me, it was easy to contribute to Webpack. It wasn't a struggle. I wasn't forcing myself to do something. And I've seen people like, say, oh, I want to contribute to open source just to say they've contributed to open source. And that's not really the kind of contribution that we're looking for, right? You really want to be helping, and everyone can help. Even like just kind of like typos and things are help. But don't just do it to kind of like say, I contributed to open source. I did this and now see you later, goodbye. We have some open PRs from people who've contributed and now they've disappeared and they're like half finished. And it's like, people have work and have jobs and they can't always finish. That's completely understandable. But like, do it because you want to do it, because you want to contribute, not just say that you contributed, but because you actually want to help.
That is really true. I think I see some people, they come in, they do like one contribution and say they've done it to get that, just to say they've done it, like checkbox exercise. And I don't think they get the benefits from it. And it is, as I said before, a marathon, not a sprint, that you just need that continuous, slow kind of activity, because you'll learn different things. I think every time you create a contribution, no matter what it is, an issue or a pull request, you're going to collaborate with different people. You're going to learn different things. And I think that's important too, as well. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, it's like I now work for an open source company, right? So my whole day-to-day job is based on open source. And like everything that I've learned through when working with Webpack, how to do PRs, and I still make mistakes, and I still kind of like, merge something that I probably shouldn't have merged, or you learn things all the time, and it's okay to make mistakes. I think as well, when people are first contributing, they're kind of like, I was afraid I was going to break Webpack in every single one's website, right? And that's not going to happen because you don't have the power. It's built, open source is built in a way that you can contribute safely, and that unless someone else, like me and Webpack or with the NuxtJS documentation, if I don't push that merge button, you're not going to break Nuxt, and I'm not going to let you break Nuxt. So go ahead and make that pull request, because everyone, like somebody in that, is going to check over that. So it's never going to be merged, something that's going to break, right? So don't have the fear. Just go and do it. And just be responsive then if like you get that answer back that says, hey, that looks really good, but would you mind changing it this way? Then you know what? Actually go and, listen to that advice and go and change that. And that way you'll learn a lot from it. You'll actually gain more, even though you'll probably have to put more time into it than you wanted to or expected to, but you'll get so much more out of it.
Love that. And we had another question over here about an IT company. I kind of answered it in the chat. I'd love to get also your opinion on this. The question is, they have, I don't know if the B is silent or not. I'm really sorry I pronounced your name badly. Does experience of working in an IT company really matter?
It depends. I think it depends on the role you're going to go into, and the job you're going to do. I mean, you could be a freelancer, right? You don't necessarily have to have worked in an IT company, but this is where, and I don't want to say it just to say it, but this is where open source can really help you, because if you are doing pull requests, if you're getting things merged, if you're following standards, that's what you do in an IT company. So if you're going to constantly contribute to open source, that for me, as a hiring manager, would be enough as someone who has experience in an IT company, because you've collaborated with people, and you've collaborated with people all over the world, and you've done it in a very visual place where everyone can see what you're doing. So it's not hidden, it's very recognizable. And I mean, you just go to GitHub and you can see everything that person has contributed to. Like you can check up in your contributions, like what you've done in the last week, in the last day, in the last month, in the last year. Everything can be seen. And that for me is worth more than an IT company, because in the IT company, maybe you didn't really do much. Everything's private. We can't see your code. We have nothing to see whether you did good, whether it was we don't know. Working with open source, you can see a hell of a lot more. So for me, it's not necessary to get experience in an IT company, but if you're not going to work in an IT company, then work with open source and get that experience somewhere else.
Absolutely. And I just want to add one thing to that is, remember, everyone, open source is not just about the committing code. I also look for, and a lot of companies do as well, see how you collaborate with other people. How do you write that issue? Do you write the issue following our discussion? I've done this. It's like, what discussion? I've had 100 discussions today. Give some context, make it easier, rather than trying to, make it like trying to get blood out of a stone is the expression we use here in the UK. You make it easier for them. People are busy. And how do you raise a pull request? You take a screenshot before and after so people can easily see the difference and all sorts. Do you raise massive pull requests with loads of changes where you've made one line code change, but then you've reformatted the entire project so it's not clear exactly what has been changed in the project? So that's really, really important. Another great question from Vivi. Hopefully I've pronounced that right. I pronounced it wrong last time, so hopefully I got it right this time. Should we wait for completing college? So sorry, the question was, when's a good time to go into open source?
Whenever you find something that you're passionate about, that you like, that you feel you can, if you're in college and you're only learning, I mean, so what? What are you learning? But if you're really only learning, you're at the very, very basics and you're still learning what a JavaScript and array method is, then obviously that's not the right time, right? But if you're I don't know, say you're working now with Nuxt, you're learning Nuxt, and you're reading the documentation and you see something and it's not correct, because I write the documentation and I make so many mistakes. So, that's a great time. You could start that way and just do a small thing. You don't have to be consistent. You don't have to do it every day or every week. Just do a little one thing, and then, then do another thing. And as you get more comfortable, then you can start to contribute more. And you might have weeks where you have time. Might have months where you have no time, and that's okay too. But there's never the right time and there's never the wrong time.
Yeah, I always would, to add to that, I would say just start, the sooner the better. I think if you can add value, like Debbie was saying, then yeah, just do it. Don't think of it, I'm at college, or I'm, I've got 10 years experience, 20 years experience, whatever it is. Just get involved. The sooner the better. Because I think that's when you're going to benefit more, and then the community will benefit from your perspective and your experience, or your fresh pair of eyes. So yeah, I love that. Okay, lots of people saying
I
thank
like
you.
what Alan says. Alan just said, I think of open source as the best internship. I think that's a pretty cool comment.
Yeah, I brought that up. I think that is brilliant, and thank you for bringing it up again. I want to bring it up on the screen and say, yeah, that is it's so true. It is just such a good experience because it's not just the technical; it is the communication skills. I'm purposely not using the word soft skills because I think communication is quite hard. But it's just it's so important. It helps with the networking as well. I think people get to
Yeah.
recognize your name on GitHub, then get to recognize it on LinkedIn, and I don't know. Imagine I don't know how you are, Debbie, with accepting people's LinkedIn requests. I don't know if
I
someone.
accept them all. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but I'm like, yeah, whatever. I
Do
like.
you? Okay. I'm not. I'm not. I'm like I expect a message from someone. I don't just accept. I get so many invitations. But for me, if I get a LinkedIn request with no message, but I recognize the name from they've contributed on GitHub and I've seen them interact on Twitter and they seem like they want to help the community and just give out as much as they kind of get back and all the rest, then I'll accept. If I just see a random name appear up, so that's why I want to say to people, just add value, will put you on the radar of other people, and then therefore they're more likely to accept a LinkedIn request. And imagine if your CV ends up on their desk, and they go, right, I recognize this person, they've done some great contributions to our project or other projects. Then I think you're just going to stand out so much more.
For sure. Like I said, I just accept them all, but there are some that will that will send me a lovely message, and they're the ones I'm going to remember because half of them I have accepted you and I don't even know who you are, and I probably just kind of went okay, 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 and didn't really look at who you are. Because LinkedIn then tells you, oh, someone viewed your profile, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to view everything, so I'm like, okay, just going to click, But those who kind of make that effort and say, and what I've really liked as well is people who say thank you, and like it's really, really like nice. Like sometimes I wake up in the morning to an email to say thank you for all the contributions you're doing. And that just makes me go, you know what, I want to do more. And saying thank you is really, really, really important. And this goes not just that I'm saying this, so I want you all to say thank you now to me. I'm saying that like if someone has done something for you, then like let them know by saying thank you. So like, when someone does a pull request for us, we always say thank you because it might have been just like a small pull request. It might not have taken much time, but it's valuable to us. And like we appreciate people's efforts. So you should kind of also, if someone, I don't know, helps you out on an issue, contributes with you, like just make sure you constantly just say, hey, thanks.
It goes a really long way when people give a shout out on Twitter or GitHub or LinkedIn, whatever, and they say, I had some great help, and now I've learned this, and this is what I did, or something, just to add value to the community, and they give you a shout out. I just really love that. It just, yeah, like you said, it makes me want to do more for the community, and I really, really love that. So we've had some more questions that have come in. So where's the best way to learn Nux? So I'm going to plug Debbie's YouTube channel. So I'm going to share the link in the chat. Definitely
Thank you.
subscribe to her channel and for some awesome Nuxt.js content. And yeah, her Twitter should be below as well. Also, while I'm saying this, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already for more awesome content. But yes, anywhere else, Deb? I think the documentation on Nux, I started using it over the holiday season, and I really enjoyed using it. Really, really did. So I think documentation is amazing.
Thanks. Thanks. Yeah, and we also have the examples book. So if you click on the examples link, there's loads of examples. They're all code sandboxes. So you can just go in, take the code, copy it, use it. The documentation is great, as I said. We are improving things as well. Like we're adding like so much stuff. So there's a lot of stuff going to be coming. To learn Nuxt, the best way is just like to jump in and play around with it. But if you're like, some people are very good at just jumping in, breaking things, and then they learn stuff. I'm actually not. I'm the type of person that really needs a course and really needs a video. So like Eddie said, my YouTube channel has some stuff on it, but then there are other workshops that you can do. I've also released a free course on the Jamstack Explorers. That's the Netlify website, Netlify Jamstack Explorers. And I've released a free course on Nuxt. So everyone can just take that mission and learn Nuxt. And if you want to pay for if you have some money and you're willing to pay for licenses. You have Vue School, you've got Vue Mastery, and you also have Frontend Masters who all have courses on Nuxt. So there's loads of ways. You just have to find the right way for you, because there's no best way. Everyone is different. Everyone learns different. Everyone learns in their own time. So find what works for you and learn that way. And reach out if you have help. We have an amazing Discord channel. It's in the footer of the NuxtJS.org website. Go scroll down, click on the Discord channel, and just start talking to people in there. And if you have any questions, the core team members, the framework team, the maintainers, the ambassadors, we're all in that channel as well. And we might end up helping you out. But if you don't ask, we can't help you. If we don't know that you need help, we can't help you. So just don't be afraid to actually just say, hey, I'm struggling with this. Can I have some help?
Yeah, I think just, chatting to people, and if they see you, as we mentioned before, helping other people, then they're more likely to help you. So yeah, and there's just so many comms. I've joined the Nuxt.js Discord, and it looks really, really great and inclusive there. So that's awesome. Definitely have a look at, and yeah, Debbie's right. You put out a free course recently. I did start watching it. I haven't quite finished it yet, so I'm looking at doing that. I do love your authentic videos. They're really, really good.
Thank you.
And Nitesh, I did bring it up on the screen, but I got to shout it out. Okay, now I'm motivated. Now I'm going to make a great contribution. So that's awesome.
Cool.
Apparently, I missed a question. So apologies, Apollo, and thank you, Hermando, for reminding me. What's the best way to manage your time between studying and working and learning to code?
You keep that question. Say that question again.
What's the best way to manage your time between studying, working, coding, partying?
It's a very interesting question. I don't know if I have the right answer. I was lucky in that I didn't have to work because I had savings. So I literally just studied. So if you're learning to code and you also have a full-time job, I'm just going to say, for example, working in a restaurant or working in one of those jobs that kind of gives you a timetable where you have to stick to the hours that they tell you, then you're just going to have to make your time when you can. And I would nearly say get up earlier, kind of instead of you used to get up at 7 o'clock, maybe just get up at 6 o'clock, and that extra hour, and you will be tired. It won't be easy, but remember that it's only for a short amount of time, maybe 1 year, maybe 2 years, who knows, whatever it takes, it takes. Don't leave it till the end of the day, because that's normally when you come home, when you're tired, you're a little bit hungry, and the television is saying, hey, just sit down and watch me instead. And you kind of tend to do that. So I would say try and do it earlier if you can. I mentored a lot of people I worked with. I worked for OpenClassrooms after I completed the tech degree. And I mentored a lot of people. They were all working full time. And a lot of people struggled with time management. So kind of be a little bit strict in a way and kind of set out goals for yourself and say, I want to do 10 hours. Be realistic as well. Don't, kill yourself. But say, I'm going to spend 10 hours of studying and I want to have this done by the end of those 10 hours, and then be proud that you did that. And then the next week, do another 10 hours. It is hard, but it is possible. And yeah, you will get through it. So just keep going.
Keep going. Make sure you're just moving forward, a little step at a time. And I think, watching videos, reading blog posts is really good, but do try and build stuff and use stuff, and just make sure you don't burn out. I've burnt out, and it's from someone who's so passionate. It is quite weird to kind of lose that passion for seemed like quite a long time at the time. So yeah, just definitely. And that's why it's been great being in a community. I know my community nudge me and say, Eddie, we need this. So you can get to see what's more urgent. But also do say, hey, look, we realize you've been online a lot this week. Maybe it's time to take some downtime. And actually loved it. I think it was just before the holiday season. I think I said, look, I can't do this live stream today. I'm exhausted. And the communities all got together and chatted and helped each other out. And I can't remember, some other things happened. I just remember thinking, wow, that's amazing. I was really super proud of everyone doing that. So that was great.
And I think it's also we're in this pandemic situation, right? So there are days when you're just not going to feel okay, and that's okay. Just take the day off. That's fine. I have days sometimes where I'm like, you know what? I'm just, the world out there is so crazy right now that if you let it all get into your head, One thing that I did at the start of this whole crazy pandemic was I turned off Twitter, LinkedIn, any news sites, any social media, and I didn't look at it until 7 o'clock in the evening.
Wow.
So the world could be falling apart, but it didn't stop me, because if you start looking at things, you'll just end up you just end up watching too much, and it just brings you down. So forget about the world while you're learning to study, and then like open it up at 7 o'clock and say, okay, world, what's going on? What did you do today? Oh my God, it hasn't changed. Okay. And then the next day, go back into that, this is me study time, and concentrate on that.
I love that. That's true. And I'm very guilty of that. And I have days where I've got a lot to do and I didn't get much done because I just got distracted with socials and other notifications. And I think you're right. I've tried and collect it up 2-3 times a day. I don't think anything is that urgent that it needs the attention straight away, right? If someone tweets you and you tweet back 4 hours later, it's fine. If it's urgent, they'll probably get you on the phone. But I don't think anything's ever that urgent.
I turn my phone is on silent, always.
Mine
like
too.
Absolutely,
Mine too.
always. I never have volume on my phone. Now I do have the watch, so it is connected. It's on theater mode at the moment. So if something is important, it can kind of like come in as a beep, and I'll kind of like look if I want to, but I won't take any calls. I'm not expecting anyone to call me. So when I'm working, my phone is on silent, and I pretty much, like your computer, you can put on, like, turn off notifications, and just when you want to study for an hour, just make it a good hour. Don't make it an hour of, I studied, but I had to look at Twitter, and I looked at this, and I answered the phone, and I was WhatsApp and this, and focus is important.
Yeah, quality over quantity, and we're focused. Love that. Really good question from Mikey. Is could you give us an idea of some of the projects you worked on after the Trivago letdown?
Yeah, so it's actually all in my GitHub repo in debbie.codes. You can go to my website and click from there, or just debs-o'brien. So things like I did were a restaurant review guide, for example. That was like the final project. That was quite difficult. A game where I made these like 2 taekwondo people, and they had to like fight each other. With like, they had to pick up belts so they could get a black belt or a green belt, and then like they had to jump over rocks and stuff, and then if they fought each other, they'd get points off each other. It's crap, but it's really cool because I built it, and it's still online. It still works. You can find that as well. I built a X and O's game, and we had to build it like against the computer. So there's different levels, and you can play like the computer is always going to win, which it 99.9% does win. So that was kind of really cool to program. Now, if you look at my code from that time, it's terrible. I would never code like that now. Other things where, what did I build? Just kind of like forms and like projects that kind of like mini projects, like search inputs and stuff. And yeah, a restaurant, a recipe book. Loads of cool things, but take a look. And I think that's one of the cool things for me was learning. For me, learning was building projects, and I learned through building different projects. If I hadn't have had like someone saying, right, this is what you're going to have to do, you need to build that, I wouldn't have thought I could do that, so I would never have built that. So that pushed me to build more. So if you can't afford to do like a tech degree, then try and find some sort of project that you kind of like want to build or think you can build or want to replicate, and then just go out and build it and just try and just make a mess of it, and it's okay. And
I love that. It's okay. Yeah, just build something. It might not work, but you'll make it better. And yeah, just set yourself little tasks. I think that's. I think someone mentioned that earlier on in the chat as well. Just really small tasks. Like if you needed to build, I don't know, an API endpoint, for example, so you could consume it with your Nuxt.js front end. Then maybe you hard code the endpoint so it's mocked out, so you can carry on building the Nuxt.js part, and then you could, I don't know, have it so it is reading out of the database, but it's only a read, and then you just add more and more to it as you need to, and just set yourself little goals. I'm just going to take a quick time out there, not a break from the live stream, but just to say the results are in for the local Hack Day MLH hackathon this week for Eddie Hub. So everyone who is in Eddie Hub right Eddie Hub in the chat so we can see how many Eddie Hubbers we've got here. But we are now still in number one, but the gap is even going even further. So I think when we got number one 2 or 3 days ago, we were 6 points ahead. Then we went to like 110 points. And now it looks like we're a clear 500 plus points ahead on this, which is awesome. So really well done, everyone in the Eddie Hub guild. You've really been working together and adding value to each other. I mean, another example is Armando mentioned that I missed a question from Apollo. And again, it's adding value. So now Armando's name is going to stick in my head more when I see it on GitHub or Twitter or whatever it is. I'm going to notice it more because it added value. I made a mistake or I missed something. And again, it's just about adding value in open source. It's the whole community and collaboration spirit. So really well done, everyone. Sorry, back to Debbie. I'm just so happy because the first and second were really close, and I wasn't sure if the gap was going to get smaller or bigger, but it's got bigger. So I'm just so happy.
Well done, you, Eddie.
I didn't do anything. Everyone in the community has been doing really well, and so that's super awesome. They've been working really hard together. So that's amazing. I really love it how even people who aren't participating in the hackathon because they're busy with work, family, and so on, they're still helping people out, which I really love to see. I just think that's just so great, really awesome. Right, sorry, back to you. Okay, so I suppose where do you see yourself in? I'm also conscious of time, also conscious of your voice.
My voice
as well.
is still here.
Oh, before my question, I think some other questions are coming in as well. Okay, Mikey's got another question. I'm struggling with thinking about projects beyond tutorial videos. How did you decide on what projects to work on?
Yeah, this is something that I brought up as well with the Nuxt team about, helping people to learn that we should have maybe like some sort of, I don't know, idea of like a list of projects, kind of like almost like a homework kind of thing, like, do this and this is the skills you need. So we're constantly working on helping and creating more content so that you can build stuff. But we don't have that built yet, right? So I was lucky, like I said, I had a tech degree. So I had a whole path and a whole program. So I literally went there was 12 projects and the other one was 9 projects. And I literally had someone tell me that you're going to do this and then this and then this. And I had no choice. I had to build it and I had to do it. And that framework, that technology. And so it has its up points and its bad points, right? But it's really, really helpful. So yeah, I don't know if I have the right answer as to where can you find a place that gives you good projects. And I'd almost maybe even encourage you to kind of like maybe look at, say, Treehouse or OpenClassrooms. And like, I'm not saying you should sign up because maybe you don't have the money. If you don't have the money, that's fine. But have a look at their projects because you can actually look at the projects, what they're asking you to do, and maybe look at something and go, wow, that sounds cool. I want to build that. And then see if you can. And if you can do it without signing up, then perfect. And if you can't do it and you think I really want to do this and I want to sign up, then you can, obviously sign up for that. That's kind of what I would do because it is hard to find projects. And the other one is real world experiences. Maybe you have something, a friend who needs like something, and sometimes that's a terrible idea because friends can ask for things that are like terrible. But yeah, do something that you really are passionate about and you really want to build, because that will help you. If not, it's just going to be really difficult to do something.
Awesome. I did miss a question, so apologies for that. I'm gonna bring this up. I see people making games in React and so forth. So the question is, can you make games in Vue?
Yeah, of course you can. I haven't actually built one yet. I was thinking like the other day, oh, wouldn't it be great to get all my games and like put them into Vue? I really don't like games. I don't have a computer that plays games. I don't play games. I don't know. I get bored with games because I keep dying and I can't move properly and I'm just no good at it. It's just not me. So games are just not really something that entices me to build something, other people, for them, building a game is like the best thing ever, right? So everyone is different. I'd much rather build a recipe website or a restaurant website or something like that. That's just my style. But like a quiz, I guess, could be a game. So that'd be kind of like as close to a game as I'd probably go.
Actually, you made me think I have a question about writing a game. or coding a game. So I've recently discovered, again from the MLH hackathon, they're being, I think, being sponsored, or one of the challenges is by Battlesnakes. Have you heard of it? Have you looked into it?
Battle snakes.
Yeah, so
Not
it's
battleships.
not battleships, it's Battlesnakes. Do you remember Snake on the old like Nokia phone
Yeah, on
where
the
you can?
mobile.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So they've got this. Apparently, it's quite a competitive, big sport. I watched one of their YouTube videos from the US, obviously before the pandemic, like a year ago, and it's like
Mhm.
hundreds of people just competing. So what you do is you program your snake, and then they let them play against each other, and it's you can start off quite simply, like you go up, go down, or it gives you the information like where the apple is, where the component is, and your opponent, not component, sorry, your opponent is. And so you can either try and cut them off or go for the fruit or whatever it is. And but then you can get really complicated with people are putting like machine learning in it and all sorts of things. So I just really like that, but I haven't tried it. I just did a Hello World with it the other night, and it's very much rabbit hole in the. I said I'll just play this for 30 minutes. 4 hours later, like 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm like still going. Oh, this is awesome! So I just I hadn't. I'm surprised I hadn't come across it before, so I wasn't sure if you had. But I guess not.
No. Although it made me think, isn't there one called Code Wars or something like that for games?
Yeah, I think isn't Code Wars more about like making automated tests pass. So it's like calculate this, and then you run the test, and you see if it passes or fail. I'm not sure. I
I don't
can't
know. I haven't
remember.
looked too much
There's
into it.
so many of
And
them around.
and something that came to mind as well is Frontend Foxes is a great website. It used to be called Vue Vixens. It's Frontend Foxes, and you can use Vue or React or whatever. And they have like little workshops, and they're online, and you can kind of like
Okay,
have a look at the free stuff, and they're giving you stuff to build, and you could like just check that out and start with them.
great tip. Thank you for that. I think that's good, and hopefully people are gonna make a note and go check that out as well. Well, I've probably missed some more questions.
Yeah,
Uh,
Paul said I haven't found the right game. I probably haven't. I think for me, I need to be learning something to play a game. It needs to be like, I need to get something out of it. Just, you got 5 points doesn't just do it for me.
Apparently, Paul's also saying that that's really old school. Oh,
Okay.
the snake, the battle snake. Okay. Um, I'm thinking, oh yeah, of doing maybe a live stream on it, me trying to build my snake, because you make your own snakes and you can battle other people around the world and you get a scoreboard. I don't know, it looks really
Yeah.
addictive, which is why I'm trying to put it off until I get time, and I never get time, but we'll try and see. Um, oh, okay. And then Paul's also correcting me with Code Wars. Um, got you. Okay, I didn't realize that. It's just so many awesome things out there at the moment. I think it's really good to
Sometimes
just get
it's
involved.
overwhelming. Sometimes it's like,
Yeah.
oh, where do I go? What do I do? Right. I think that's normal as well.
Yeah, it is. And I think there's a lot going on. And people always say, how can I find the perfect framework or the perfect library or the perfect project, the perfect open source project to contribute to? I personally think they're going to find it by just trying it out and seeing, if you're waiting for the perfect one, it's never going to happen. So just get involved in the project, or just try a library, try a framework, and see which one
Mhm.
you like, and see. So yeah, awesome. Okay, how's your voice doing? How's your voice doing? I think I want to give your voice a rest soon. We're going for like an hour and 20 minutes.
Really? Wow. You know what?
Yeah.
I went home for Christmas, and my mother said that like I talk too much and I'm really good at talking. And I was like, why does everyone think I talk too much? And my whole family just looked at me as if to say, like, you never shut up. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I actually just don't get it. So I guess I do like talking. According to my family, I'm very good at talking. So there you go.
But it's good, it's good as, to, you do a lot of developer advocacy, DevRel, I think it's really good to share. And I think more and more developers, I don't know what your thoughts on this are, but I've noticed more and more developers are getting more into kind of this DevRel side. Not necessarily as a job, they are writing blog posts, or they're sharing a tweet of a code snippet that they've, or technique they've learned, or something they've learned or shared. And I really love that when people keep sharing. I always keep encouraging people to get onto YouTube as well, but I appreciate that's a bigger kind of leap, because of it's a bit scarier and it's a lot more effort editing and all the rest. I know you don't really
Yeah.
edit your videos though, do you?
No, I actually no, because So I work for Vue School as well, right? And I've been making videos courses for them. And it's been kind of like quite time consuming. So you put a lot of time into it, and like the recording, and I record one sentence, then I code, then I record, then I code, because that goes to an editor who's not a tech person. So she needs to understand how to put it together properly. So I found that very time consuming. So I was like, I can't make a YouTube video and it take like 8 hours to make one video for 20 minutes. I just can't do that. So I decided like, okay, let's not do editing, because that's what's putting me off creating content. So take out the editing and just be me and just make mistakes. And yes, I press record and then I make this mistake and I press stop and I'm like, I press record and I press stop, I press record and I press stop. And then I like throw it all in the bin and then I go, right, this is the one, this one's going to work out. So I kind of edit in a different way. But I found it a lot better because you get used to kind of like, you know what, I'm vulnerable out there. I'm going to make mistakes and that's okay. And if I do it wrong, that's also okay. Because when you're editing a video for something like Vue School, which is a professional way of doing stuff, you know, it's not really okay to make mistakes, although it is, but then you can show it and stuff. But on YouTube, it's a lot more, oh my God, it's broken. What do I do? Okay, hang on. How do I do this? Let me figure it out. And that's acceptable. But getting to that stage that you're comfortable with that is a whole different game.
And I think some people see that the 5-minute video that's taken, like you said, like 8 hours to create and record and what have you, and they go, oh wow, you're able to code, like, I don't know, a new TikTok app, or, you know, a TikTok clone or WhatsApp clone in 6 minutes. Oh my God, that's amazing. I'm never going to be as good as that person. It's like, that took like days to create. It didn't happen, you know, in 5-6 minutes. You're just seeing like the perfect situation. And yeah, that's why I like live streaming so much. It's definitely more authentic, and you see people get stuck. And I think the other point that you mentioned that I really like was, we all make mistakes. I don't think Nicholas is in the chat, but for the video, I didn't actually make a mistake, but I did something that was a bit longer winded. So it was a Git in Git, and I was adding a remote and changing it. So I wanted to remove a remote and change it, basically update it. So I removed the remote and then I added a new remote with the same name. And Nicholas wrote in the comments, you know, that yes, that works, but you can also use, I can't remember what it was now, I've forgotten, it's like update. And I was like, oh wow, that's awesome. I didn't know about that. So by putting things out there, someone else can maybe suggest like an alternative way or a better way or a more modern way or just a different way. It might not be better, it just might be another way of doing it. And I think a lot of people, a bit nervous about putting things out there. If it's not the perfect way.
I was like the most nervous, as you kept telling me like, you know, come on, you got to do it. And I was like, no, I'm too afraid. And you're like, Debbie, just do it.
The YouTube channel. I'm so happy about that.
Someone just asked what happened to my voice. Yeah, I think COVID stole my voice. So yes, I am. This is the first day I've got up out of bed since I was tested positive. Not something to be proud of, but it happens. Just happens. We have no idea how, but the whole of my husband's family came down with it. So it's like domino effect, bum, 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 bum. And I seem to be in the worst hit, but luckily it hasn't been bad. I mean, I lost my voice and I was tired and kind of flu-like symptoms and stuff and fever, but I'm over the worst. I'm here. But I think next week I might not be creating videos until this comes back, and that might take a bit longer. So it is what it is.
I'm glad you're on the road to recovery, and I really appreciate you jumping on this live stream. I know we had it planned for last week, and I was like, let's leave it. Let's give yourself more time. So
last week I had no voice at all. Last Friday, so I think like it just it started. Now my voice has been bad as well all over Christmas. I kind of lost my voice, and then I was running up mountains in the snow. That doesn't help. And then I came back, and then obviously this just got worse and worse and worse. And then like, you know, but yeah, Friday I had no voice. I couldn't even speak at all. I was like, oh my God, I did a call with a client and I was like, oh my God, I can't speak. And you know, when you're working remote and you don't actually know because you don't use your voice, and you spend like 6 hours just typing and you think you're normal, and you go online and you go, oh my God, where is it? Where's it gone? What do I do?
And just jumping back to what we were saying about, you know, people in the community wanting to help out and so on. V has just corrected me and said it's git remote set URL. So it wasn't update, it was set URL. So thank you very much for that. That's awesome. But I love that, right? Now I'm more likely to remember it as well. So that's really good. Okay, so yeah, have a drink, and I'll bring up this another question. I do want to kind of wind down shortly because I am conscious I want your voice to get worse. The question's from Abhijit. Hopefully I pronounced that right. I've started contributing to open source. I know we've covered this already, but I think it's such an important question, and people are kind of coming in and out of the live stream. By the way, for everyone who is here, don't forget to give the live stream a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and subscribe to Debbie's channel too. I've started contributing to open source, but most of the time I'm overwhelmed by different technologies, large repositories. How should I go around in such situations?
I get overwhelmed every day. There is so many things to learn. It's absolutely impossible to learn them all. So for example, right, I'm working with Nuxt. I'm now learning Vue 3. I just started learning Vue 3 this week while I was in bed. But people might think like, oh, but you have to know Vue 3 because you work with Nuxt. But no, like we haven't started to put Vue 3 into Nuxt yet. So I haven't had the need to learn it. So I started to learn it because I'm going to need to learn it because Nuxt 3 is coming soon. But I also want to learn other things, but I have to focus on this. This is what's important right now. So I would say just kind of find something that you want to focus on and kind of try and all kind of almost master that, and then move on to something else. Don't try and just learn everything because you're never going to. Nobody on this planet knows everything in technology, and they never will, no matter how hard they try. So pick something, focus on that. Don't get overwhelmed. Have a list. Kind of put it on a list of what you want to do, and you might never ever finish that list, but that's fine. But just kind of go, oh look, I did that. Okay, I learned that. Great. But yeah, it's not easy.
I've just kind of answered this question in the chat, and it's quite funny because I got an email from that same company. So the question is, can we make Android apps using Vue? And I wrote back in the chat saying you could probably use Ionic with Vue. I think Ionic was originally Angular, but now it supports React and Vue. And literally an email notification came up saying latest from Ionic. So it was perfect timing. What are your thoughts on that? Have you heard anything? Have you tried it?
Yeah, so there's a few, like there's Vue Native, and there's I think someone put in the chat there, Apollo put in, and there's another one. There's two of them.
I'm laughing. Sorry, I'm laughing because you said Vue Native. I thought Apollo was joking. I didn't actually realize it's a real thing. That's why I didn't bring it up on the screen. Oh, okay.
Yeah, no,
I did not know that. Okay.
So I haven't worked with any of them, to be honest, but I did research them for a project for a client. So there's a couple of different libraries. Just kind of check them out and stuff. But yeah, you can.
Awesome. And I love this question. I think this is a really good question. Do you wake up wondering what the hell we're doing, just feeling like giving up and doing nothing? I don't know if you want me to go first, Debbie. I do have those days where I think, you know what? Forget this. I'm just going to go and live on some remote island and just be shorts and t-shirts all the time and do nothing. But then I love the community too much. I love what I do too much, and I would miss it. So actually, I'm trying to combine those two ideas. And as of June, I'm going digital nomad. I don't know how I'm going to get all my kit over there as a problem still to solve. But I am going to go to hot countries and spend 3 months, 6 months at a time and geek out from there. So I'll be taking everyone with me on that journey. But what about your Debbie? You live on an exotic hot island, so you're already living in paradise.
Yeah, I think this year taught me a lot of things. This year, actually, last year, because now we're in this year. I in my previous jobs, and I probably put too much into the work, into the stress, into the like this has to be done today, which doesn't help, right? And I stopped doing things that I love doing. So this, like my goal last year, the start of the year, was to make sure I do more sport, more outdoor stuff, and like still work hard, but still have quality time. And I think I managed to achieve that quite a lot. And anyone who follows me on Twitter has seen me cycling up mountains, and like I've like, okay, yeah, we can't like meet people and stuff, but I've been able to take the bike and just go cycling, go running, and just be surrounded by nature and stuff. So if I'm having bad days, I try and go to the mountains, and I'm very lucky to live like on an island where we have beaches and mountains and really beautiful scenery, and it's not overpopulated as well. When they closed all the borders and stuff, we were like very lucky to have empty beaches and stuff. But when it comes to work, I don't wake up thinking like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing or anything like that. I wake up kind of thinking, I get so excited. I jump out of bed. I really do. I love getting up in the morning. I get up and I come into my office so excited. I absolutely love working. I have a different scenario where it's not like, what am I doing? It's more like, oh my God, I'm going to get sacked today. I'm not good enough. I'm going to make a mistake. I'm going to like, oh, I need to know this. I wish I knew this. People are asking me on YouTube, can you make a video of this? And they don't realize that I don't know this. And they're asking me for like more in-depth stuff. And I'm not good enough to teach that. And I don't know that. So yeah, I think that's kind of my issue, is more the imposter syndrome telling me I'm not good enough to do it. And I have to kind of like fight that every day. I battle it every day. I don't think imposter syndrome will ever go away from me, but I've put all these signs up in my house and in my entrance especially, that just like kind of say, you're awesome, believe it, you can do it, dream it. So many signs up. I have Alexa program to tell me I'm amazing every day. And
That's awesome.
and that's how I get by. And that might be crazy or sad or stupid, I don't know, but it works for me. And it's how I battle that little voice in the head.
I think that's the important part. What works for you? Different things work for different people, but they got to try and do something. I think a lot of people probably see you on live stream, see you on YouTube videos, and go, "Wow, Debbie's got the perfect life. She's always happy." And we all have, I think, our down days. Paul's saying you're not in Ireland. Like, no, Debbie is in Palma. And funny enough, I was in Palma in September, and she's completely right. It was just not busy at all. It was amazing. I was there for 2 weeks. I want to stay a lot longer. And I found out Debbie was in Palma like literally the day after I came back. I was like, we could have geeked out. We could have recorded a video with masks on and so forth and social distancing, but I had my kit with me. So I was actually there for a conference that got cancelled, and I booked a lovely hotel. So I was like, know what? I'm still going to go. And just, really, it's really quiet. So I really enjoyed it. But yeah. And people saying, thank you very much for your honesty. And I think that's just, again, the kind of open source mentality is just be transparent about things. And I think the more people we do this, the better. I think people will realize it's not all perfect. And what you see on socials is, some people just share like the best parts and don't share. I know Debbie's really good at sharing the authentic parts. You're saying you were unwell on socials and so forth, and that's why your contributions and your social communication is going to be reduced. And I think people respected that, and I think that was just really good to be transparent with that.
Yeah, for sure. And also, like, I work with some of the most cleverest people. Like, my bosses are the creators of Nuxt. I mean, how clever can you get, right? So it's always very important, and like something that Sebastian said to me, like, never compare yourself to someone else. You're never going to know this, but you're better at teaching than I am, and you're better at this than I am, and I'm better at you than and everyone is better at different things, and that's kind of okay as well.
Exactly. Okay, on that note, I am going to call it a day there. Debbie, thank you so much. Let me share your socials again in the chat, and straight after the stream I will update it, because apparently I've put a space after your link in the description below, so it's not working so well. But okay. There's Debbie's YouTube channel and Twitter in the chat. Don't forget to go subscribe, shout out, support. If you really want to get also noticed in Debbie's community, in my community, then what I recommend is do two things. One is take a screenshot of this live stream and share it on socials. But if you really want to reshare, I'll like it if you just do that and just say great stream, I will like it. But if you really want a reshare, then what's one thing that stood out for you on the stream that you can then add value to the community and our community, like a soundbite, this is the question and this was Debbie's answer and I love it, it was great. And then we're more likely to share it in front of our network. So again, just always think about adding value to somebody else in the community. I think that's really important.
Yeah.
Debbie,
what did you take away from this? What did you learn today? Exactly. What did you kind of go, I'm going to walk out of this and this is going to make that one change? What is that one change? What is that one thing that you took away? That would be cool to know.
Exactly. Anything else you'd like to add, or shall we end on that note?
I just want to say thank you, especially to the community in general, the tech community, who've been so supportive. While I've been ill, they've been sending messages and a lot of, likes and get well messages. And I even got flowers from the GitHub Stars program. So thank you so much. That was incredible. And I think that's what I love about the tech community, that everyone is here for everyone, whether you're doing good or whether you're doing bad, we're all here for you. So just remember not to hide in the shadows, to reach out and we're all in this together, so let's just make it a better world, and let's just all support each other.
Perfect. Thank you everyone for being here. Go and follow Debbie as well, and give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Debbie, hang on the line for 1 minute. I want to put the holding page up, and I'm just going to say thank you again privately as well. So everyone, have a great weekend, and if you're doing the MLH hackathon, good luck with that, and I look forward to geeking out with you over the weekend. So I will see you all soon. We're in first place. Eddie Hub's in first place.